Welcome to this lesson on statistics and probability. Today, we are going to dive into a core concept called the sampling distribution. This idea is the bridge between descriptive statistics, where we simply describe data, and inferential statistics, where we make predictions. By the end of this video, you will understand how sample statistics behave and why that behavior allows us to make scientific conclusions. Before we define a sampling distribution, we must clarify the difference between a population and a sample. The population is the entire group of individuals or items we are interested in. For example, all students in a university. It is usually too large to measure completely. A sample, on the other hand, is a smaller, manageable subset selected from that population, like 50 randomly chosen students. In statistics, we use specific language to distinguish between the two. Numerical values that describe the population are called parameters. These are fixed, true values, often unknown to us. We use Greek letters like mu for the mean and sigma for the standard deviation. Conversely, values calculated from our sample are called statistics. These vary depending on who is in the sample. We use symbols like x bar for the sample mean and s for the sample standard deviation. So, what exactly is a sampling distribution? Imagine you take a sample from a population and calculate an average, or x-bar. Now, imagine you put those people back, mix them up, and take a second different sample, calculating a new average. If you repeated this process over and over, collecting thousands of sample means, the probability distribution of those sample means is what we call the sampling distribution. A key concept here is sampling variability. Because every random sample contains different individuals, the statistic you calculate will change from sample to sample. In the example shown here, one sample might have a mean of 48.2, while another is 51.5. This fluctuation is natural and expected. It is not an error, it is simply chance at work. To visualize this, think of a three-step mental experiment. First, take a random sample of a specific size, and second, calculate the statistic, such as the mean. Third, repeat this process many times. If you plot all these resulting averages on a histogram, the shape that emerges is the sampling distribution. It shows us which values for the mean are common and which are rare. This distribution has some fascinating properties. The first is its center. The average of all your possible sample means will equal the true population mean. This is why we call the sample mean an unbiased estimator. It does not consistently overestimate or underestimate the truth. On average, it hits the target exactly. Next, let's look at the spread. Notice that the sampling distribution is much narrower than the original population. We measure this spread using the standard error. The formula shows that the standard deviation of the sample means is equal to the population's standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size, and this means sample averages are less variable than individual observations. The size of your sample, denoted by n, plays a huge role. As you increase the sample size, the standard error decreases. Visually, the curve becomes tighter and taller. With a large sample size, like 100, it is very difficult to get a sample mean that is far from the true population mean. Larger samples give us more precision. This leads us to the most famous theorem in statistics, the Central Limit Theorem. It states that no matter the shape of the original population distribution, even if it is skewed or weird, the sampling distribution of the mean will become approximately normal or bell-shaped, provided the sample size is large enough. Usually, a sample size of 30 or more is sufficient. Why do we care about imaginary distributions of samples? Because this is the mathematical foundation for all testing. It allows us to create confidence intervals, giving us a range for where the truth lies. It also enables hypothesis testing, helping us decide if a result is statistically significant or just random noise. Without sampling distributions, we could not generalize from a sample to a population. To summarize, remember these key points. A sampling distribution is the distribution of a statistic across many samples. Its center is the population mean. Its spread, or standard error, shrinks as sample size increases. And finally, thanks to the Central Limit Theorem, for large samples, this distribution is normal. Understanding this behavior unlocks the power of inferential statistics.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.